Hello and welcome to Valley Viewpoint. I'm Dan Solis, your host, and with me today are Jim Fry, Superintendent of Schools in College Place, and the City Manager of College Place, Mr. Mike Rizzitiello. And we're going to be talking about schools, learning, levies, and so forth. So, Jim, tell us what a levy is.
Well, the easiest way to remember a levy is levies are for learning. So they are all the things that the difference between what the state and federal government provide us and what we need to operate day to day. So all the extracurricular activities, they pay us for so many staff, and we hire more staff to serve our kids and teachers, paraeducators, nurses, and our school resource officer, plus 100% of our extracurricular athletics, activities, drama, choir, band, all of that comes out of a levy.
And just so it's clear to our audience, this is not a bond which is used for building new facilities and so forth.
Correct. Bonds, yeah, our bonds, you've got to name those for what you're going to build something. This is purely the tax that's every, it's 2 to 4 years. College Place historically has run this every 4 years, and so this is a replacement for the one that is set to expire at the end of 2022.
So there's already a levy in place. Our kids have been learning for the past 4 years as a result of a prior vote, but that vote isn't forever.
That's right. So currently we have 3 expiring levies, and that was kind of a strategy when some laws changed. Historically, there was one on the books, and it was just this, it used to be called an M&O, maintenance operations. Now it's EP&O, educational programs and operations. But what we've done is right now, those 3 that are expiring, we're collecting $2.60 per thousand of assessed value. What our school board has said is a drop of 10 cents down to $2.50 per thousand of assessed value for the next 4 years in order to provide those services and operations that our kids and our community have grown to expect from us.
Now, I know that's probably music to the ears of many residents because nobody cuts taxes in this day and time. But the question is, will that be sufficient to provide the services that we have been giving in the past?
Well, and that's part of the reason why Mike's joining us today is because of our growth in College Place and because of the tax base. The last 5 years, we've averaged $25 million in new construction. So College Place's growth is helping offset that amount will be adequate and do a great job of providing services for our kids.
So the more people that move to College Place, they purchase new homes, they start paying taxes, and that helps the overall tax base, so it's not as much of a, and I don't want to use the burden, but you use the word burden because that's kind of a negative, but it kind of spreads it out. Yeah. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I like to use the term responsibility because I know that I'm responsible for the learning of the kids in my community, and it will someday be my grandkids, and then when I don't have kids, it will be someone else's children who will be taking care of me. But it spreads it out, and you like to think of it as, we have a set amount for 4 years is $18.9 million. That set amount is what we can collect. So the more people that chip in, so to speak, the more that it lessens it for each of us.
Tell us about the growth. So Superintendent Fry is saying we're just growing like gangbusters. We're getting more revenue in. What's actually happening in College Place?
So City of College Place relative to City of Walla Walla has about double the growth rate. So
double?
Yeah, double.
Double.
When you look at it as a percentage. So City of Walla Walla year to year grows at about 0.75%, and with us, it's since I've been here, it's hovered between 1.5% and 2%. So as percentage of growth, especially since we're a smaller locality compared to Walla Walla, we're about 9,800 residents. That's definitely a noticeable increase. And then there is a lot of development activity that's in various stages of permitting right now. So out at the Homestead development, that's been growing the last 10 years, but the final phase, which is wise size, so that's affordable housing, like basically basically these like cabin structures of under 1,000 square feet. There's about roughly a little bit north of 25 of those that will be going in to the east of Dones below the hillside. So that's a development. The development we've talked about for a long period, Villages at Fort Walla Walla, which is that field behind Home Depot. They were going through some legal financial issues due to the pandemic, but it looks like they'll be back on track for next year. And that's 180 apartment units going up on Whitman Drive. And then we also just received a preliminary plat to develop the final phases of Villages at Garrison Creek, and that's the subdivision that goes between Myra Road and Larch if you were to draw a line from 8th Street going to the east. And from that preliminary plat, that looks like that'll be about an additional 72 units of single family housing. And then we're shopping around with various developers, but the property across from the existing high school that was annexed into town a couple of years ago. We actually built the southwest sewer not just to accommodate that property, but actually our sewage lines were undersized for the whole area, going from where Community Bank is at Commercial Drive all the way through to Walmart. So the southwest sewer actually allowed us to increase capacity so we could actually allow more businesses and residences. And so that's why the road was and all that was dug up. It wasn't the school, it was us with the southwest sewer, and we ended up getting a lot of grants for that. But in addition to helping to allow current development in existing homes have a reliable wastewater service, that's also opening up, it amounts to about 260 acres for development. And the new school eventually will be on the western side of that. But that's just a summary of what's going on. And the interesting thing right now is there is quite a few projects, actually a larger number since the time I've started here, that are in various stages of due diligence that I can't really get into at the moment because they're in due diligence. But if those all come to fruition, that would almost like double that number. So we basically have exponential growth, and that definitely plays into ensuring the schools have capacity for all the students, because one thing which is interesting about our population breakdown is we are getting a younger population here. When you look at the demographics between the youth, millennials, middle-aged folks, and then senior citizens, is actually split evenly almost, where it's like 25% apiece, which you don't see in most communities, but you see here. So we have to plan adequately for the schools, because without that, you aren't going to get the development, because you aren't going to get the families wanting to move here otherwise. That's a key piece of that puzzle.
So watch out, Seattle. College Place is on the way.
Yep.
Now, does commercial development play into this at all as far as the tax base is concerned? And what's happening on that front?
Yeah, so there are several big box organizations that are looking at Walla Walla Valley. We continue to have discussions with those folks. Nothing that I can allude to publicly yet, because they don't really want things known publicly until there's an offer and they have everything in place. But with the numbers of folks moving out here, and then the incomes and everything else going the right way, we definitely are on the radar, because the magic number to get a lot of these big boxes, restaurants, other types of retailers is around 70,000 folks within a 20-minute drive time. And up until the last 2 years, we were actually below that number. So a lot of the retailers were a little skeptical about opening another outlet here. But we have since surpassed that with the 20-minute drive time of 70,000 people existing. So that puts a number of retailers, restaurants, other solutions into play that wouldn't have looked at us before. And we want to get those folks here because they pay property taxes. That lowers the burden on the homeowners. And then plus, if you have more services, that improves quality of life. More people want to move here. So we're actively in those conversations, and you can see a lot of that coming to fruition today. I mean, the Goodwill, they are in the process of moving from downtown Walla Walla to here off of C Street. Hop Thief is another good case in point. That's been a major boon for the city, and a lot of other developments taking place. So we see that continuing, and they'll help lessen the burden of taxes on the homeowners.
So these bring in dollars from outside of College Place.
Yep.
Then the businesses pay taxes.
Yep.
And that helps to support, among other things, our educational system.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So tell us, what are some of the plans that are in place to address this growing population? Because if we have more people moving in, and you say these aren't just retirees, these are going to be people that have kids in school.
Yep.
So that's going to mean more school rooms, more teachers, what?
So a little of all the above. We've already added portables. 2 summers ago, we added 6 portable classrooms, and we use the term portables, but you can't pick them up and carry them away. I mean, they are permanent. They are set in cement, foundations, everything. We've already filled those, and so we've got some stimulus dollars that came from the federal government that were for us to be able to open safely, and because of social distancing and the things, we went ahead and got 6 more classrooms. So we've got 12 portable classrooms at Davis Elementary, which is right now, it is our tightest space. And so yes, we've added more staff. That means teachers, it means teacher para-educators, it means custodial staff, it means nursing staff. On our secondary campus, we're getting close. So teachers, often we've got teachers that float around, right? So, teachers get one period of preparation every day. Well, they don't get to be in an empty classroom anymore. They've got to go somewhere else so that the teachers can rotate through.
Wonderful. Let's pick it up and talk a little bit more about the high school, the secondary education, when we come back in the second half of our program. So don't go away. We'll be right back, and there's a lot more to learn about the expansion of the educational system in College Place, Washington. Hello and welcome back to Valley Viewpoint. If you are just joining us, we are talking on the program today about the expanding population of College Place and how the school system is addressing the increased need. So Jim Fry and Mike Rizzitiello, our superintendent of schools and our city manager respectively, are our guests. Now, Jim, when we went to break, we were talking about the high school. I understand that there's a rumor going around that there's already a new high school in the works, and I don't know, is this correct?
Well, Loch Ness and Bigfoot are right up there with that story right now. No, when the city put in the sewer line and tore up College Ave, there was a lot of belief that, and we purchased 40 acres, right to the west of that area. There was a belief that we were the ones ready to drop a school in. But the truth of the matter is that we are still working on our 2012 bond, paying that off. And soon, actually this month, the board is going to take action to basically refinance that loan, if you will, and give about $4.5 million back to our local taxpayers, which is a great thing. But we're not ready to build a new school yet. We've purchased the land because, as Mike's pointed out, there's going to be a scarcity of land here in College Place, and we don't want to be trying to build a school to hold this growth and have nowhere to build it. So there's nothing in the works. We can't build a school without our community support. But when we do build that school, we will go out and ask our community. I've been asked this over and over again, what kind of school would you build? I will tell you, here's our problem. We're outgrowing the secondary campus, which is Sager Middle School and College Place High School, and we're outgrowing Davis. So whatever solution we come up with, we're going to have to take some bodies, some students out of both. So if I were to predict what it would probably be an intermediate that we could probably go a pre-K through 3 at Davis and take 4th and 5th grade and 6th, 7th, and 8th and move it onto one site, and then have the high school take over what is the existing Sager and high school. But I don't know that. That's just me talking here in 2021. In 2027, 2029, when this is most likely to go out to voters, that's where we'll figure that out.
Well, you have a tremendous plant. I mean, I look at larger communities in our area. I look at the athletic complex that you have at the high school. It's really a tremendous development that's there, and a real blessing for the community.
Well, it is, and it's the community's to use. And one of the things that we're looking at in the short term with the property, the 40 acres that we purchased right now, is how can we develop that for usage while we're waiting to build a school. So we're probably going to put fields and things. Mike and I went together to put in to propose to see if we can get some grant money to help do some things in the meantime. That new site will be at the doorstep of all of this growth, and so it will be another community hub, is what we hope, with great facilities, maybe perhaps a walking path and athletic fields that are open to that whole new community that's going to be drawn into this area in Southern College Place.
Now, Mike, not only are we looking at more classrooms, more teachers, but as the population expands, doesn't it also call for some changes in our police protection, our fire protection? Are there things that are happening to assist a broadening base?
Yes. As additional folks move here, that does require additional augmentation of those services. How we've been able to finance a lot of that has been through aggressive pursuit of grant money. Since I've been working here, which is about 5 years now, I've been very proud of the team we built at the city. We've gotten over $25 million in grant money over the last 5 years.
Now, grant money means money that comes from outside of our community to assist us here. Where do you get this money? I'd like to get a little bit too.
Through private foundations. So for instance, we end up getting an AARP grant to go put free internet at our parks, and AARP paid for it. Another good example, which is out at that South Growth area, Majonier Road, in the next couple of years we will be reconstructing that, and the engineering is being paid for with a Metropolitan Planning Organization grant. And then in the recently passed federal infrastructure bill, we actually have an earmark in there for construction of Majonier Road. And then even with other streets, like right outside the studios here, the 4 Bikes project, where we're going to extend the cycle track and put in pedestrian street lamps. That's being financed by a $500,000 state Transportation Improvement Board grant. So it's really paying attention to all grant sources. There's a lot of them if you know where to look at the federal, state, and private foundation level. Luckily, we're able, the thing is, you can't just depend on grants alone, so you have to have skin in the game or else you aren't going to get the grants. Luckily, we've been blessed here in the city where, because of our sales tax base, utility taxes, other areas, we're able to come up with the local match. You basically have to put in about 25% local match in order to successfully obtain a grant. So with our local money, we've been able to leverage that into state, federal, and private foundation grants, and that's what we'll have to continue to do.
It sounds like we're trying to compete in College Place for national recognition as the best small town to live in or something. I'm really excited about what you have to say. Back to the schools, how are the schools coping? You said we've got additional buildings. These are classrooms, but then you have common space. I mean, how about cafeterias and gymnasiums? You haven't doubled those. How do you make all this fit and work together?
It's a pretty extensive puzzle, I'll tell you, and our administrative team does amazing work, and the staff there, and a bit of jockeying, a little bit of changing schedules, and so that you can have multiple lunch hours, and and now with social distancing that we're contending with, I think the kids at Davis are pretty much we have lunch hour basically from 10:30 in the morning till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But really, it's about finding creative solutions to this, and we will continue to. The reasons why portables is a temporary fix for the whole at Davis is the core structure of the school, which is the cafeteria, which is the gymnasium, which are the office spaces. They weren't built to hold 900 or plus students, which we now can have with these portables. They were built for 750. And so that's why we're going to be, at some point it's going to get really tight in our schools. We're going to be really creative, and we're going to use every coat closet and every space that we can before we expand to the next school. But I've been amazed, just like we have contending with the pandemic, how we've contended with our growth is to continue to do great things given the circumstance.
Now, I know creativity comes at a price. So your staff is being creative, having to work harder. How would you assess morale in the education program there?
Well, I would say that the morale in education would rival what I'm seeing in healthcare. People are really tired. They've had to reinvent themselves over and over again, and that's exhausting. To do something different, think brushing your teeth with the opposite hand, takes so much extra energy to do something new and different, and then as soon as they've kind of figured something out, the rules have changed a little bit again, and so people are tired, but we are resilient, and educators are about teaching and instilling resilience in our kids, and I've seen that in one another and picking each other up. But people are tired. They're June tired, and we're in December, and so finding that energy comes from their passion to serve our community and passion to change the trajectory of a student's life, and so that's what keeps them and keeps me going every day.
Now, Mike, I know my wife is going to be excited when she hears that there are going to be more shopping opportunities locally. Mm-hmm. So we don't have to make so many trips to Tri-Cities or some of the surrounding areas. I'm not sure I'm that excited because it's going to come out of my paycheck. But, no, just kidding. What might we expect to see? I'm not asking for specifics or names, but what do you see on the horizon with this commercial development?
I see a lot more restaurants. I see additional big box stores similar to like what you see across Myra Road, where the old Blue Mountain Mall site was at, except over here because we are talking with big boxes that are interested in going in the front part of the Whitman site behind Home Depot, also across from the high school. Same with the vacant lots over by Hop Thief. We've already seen, actually one thing that I can't announce because it is happening is actually right next to Aspen Dental, we're going to have a new Burger King going over there. So we're already getting a lot of those new ones. I believe that will continue to happen. College Avenue, I think that will continue to develop as like a small business downtown corridor, and that's what we're trying to aid in those endeavors. And there's a lot of things in due diligence right now, or if they come to fruition, it will definitely aid in that endeavor. The thing that we are going to have to do a lot more homework on, though, is a hotel, though. That's something we've been working on for some time. Unfortunately, COVID-19 and the whole pandemic completely knocked out that sector for a loop. So it's all brand new players in the real estate markets and departments for those respective hotel chains. So we're re-engaging in those conversations. But
this is exciting.
Yeah,
this is exciting. We're going to have to come back And I'm going to have you expand on that term due diligence so we all get a good grip on that.
Yep.
But gentlemen, thank you both for being with us, and thank you for joining us for Valley Viewpoint. If you have an idea or a concept for a future viewpoint, maybe your civic group or organization would like to appear on the show, why not call us 509-529-1949, or you can give it to us at valleyviewpoint@bmt.tv.